website
Clubhouse
of BT,
T.
right? I'm looking at the top shows, and they're all non-music related. Let me see. I'm looking on here, and yeah, they're all non-music related. But what I wanted to ask you was this, and I know that's something that caught my eye, and as well as Twitter, was when you guys did like the No Limit Chronicles. You know what I'm saying? Like, how well did that do for you guys up there at the network? Being that was something that, like, that's the shit that I'm talking about. Like, when that came on, I felt like I speak for my demo and people who think like me. Yeah. When that shit came on, being that I could only get it at BT, I downloaded the BT app because I felt like now
Clubhouse T.
okay, here we go. This is the shit that I'm talking about. This is why we love BT. This is why okay, we can only get this shit here. And it was good as shit. Then the Rough Rider one comes on. I'm like, okay, now whoever's in the building doing this, keep them because they are really on to something, and it was so dope. And I know that shit, you know, off top, and I know that did very well for you guys. Like, is it when you look at that? Is it like I would love to see more content like that follow up with, you know, like you mentioned the New Edition movies, even the movie shit that you guys have been doing are crazy, and it shuts Twitter down. Everyone's talking about it. All the blogs are talking about it, and that's still keeping it heavy music. Like it's music driven still. Like now when I look, it's like, as a fan, and you know how passionate I am, Connie, about BT.
Clubhouse T.
The whole world knows. It's like as a fan, as well as the network. Now it's like I have no choice, and I think I mentioned that before you came. I'm in a lot of people, and I have no choice era where I have no choice but to go get what I want from something else. I would love to get it from BT, but if they won't give it to me, I have no choice but to go to World Star. I gotta go to YouTube. But when you guys do that original content, it's the same thing. It's like, damn, they're talking to us. This shit is like, I love that part. I was thinking, like, even will we see more of that, and how well did that do for you guys? For you guys even know, like, you know what? This is what we need to start doing more of this shit right here.
But look, and that started with Death Row Chronicles when we started that a few years ago, and it did well.
And inside the label.
And inside
Clubhouse T.
Right.
And we didn't. I think Music Moguls before that. That was before I was in the seat. But like, we do things like that, and because Death Row Chronicles did well on TV with people tuning in, then of course we're gonna do No Limit and Rough Riders. And like each time we kind of change the formula a little bit. And yes, we're gonna do like the next installation of that. And that's why I say, like, it's these little tests that we try and make sure that, you know, they're resonating. And No Limit Chronicles, or all the Chronicle series, is great because it tells the story from a perspective that we have, that the culture has. And it tells you things that you may not have known, and it just gives you, you know, the history and the impact. So yes, we love those series. They do well, and they will stay on air. We can't do them year round because you have to produce them. It takes a minute, but you will see, you know, another installation of that in 21. And it's like, okay, so we got that down pat, right? Like, so what else do we need to add to? They got the Chronicles, they have the tempos, which are all the award shows. What other type
Clubhouse
of
T.
Like, I've tried to do like artist specials, performance specials, and they didn't really work.
I think it might be just deeper than the specials. That's just one aspect. I just feel like, I mean, I don't know much about, you know, the business. You know, I'm more of a watcher, so I don't know much. But I don't know who's necessarily in the building when it comes to just the, you know, figuring out a way to get the youth back involved in the show. Like, where are the teen summits? You know, where are the
Easy. Well, Meezy, can I say something real quick?
Hey,
Hold on.
can we get Big Tigger in?
Wait. Let me say something real quick. If I can say something real quick. And Connie know I love Connie to death. And I'm going to just keep it 1,000. Everybody, I don't know if you saw, I just recently had a public mission to get off of Viacom, because I feel like Viacom in general don't really know what to do with black people and black programming. But what I will say about Connie, because I want to separate Connie from BET. Connie, since you've been there, the shit that you've done at BET has been amazing. You've brought people in your office to have conversations about more inclusion. All the conversations that people are having around getting younger people more engaged with the network and having a program that reflects them and where we sit. She's trying to do that. But Connie, the problem with, well, my problem with Viacom in general is a bunch of white people talking about how black programming should look. And I don't know about BET if it's white people at the top navigating those things. I don't know who's pulling what strings. But what I will say is, one thing that I know that BET has lost over the years, BET has traditionally been like, serve the Bible thumpers that were afraid of having content that would cause people to show up at the network. And I feel like now we live in a very different age, especially with digital media, where people are getting access and fed information at a really fast rate in terms of the culture, issues that matter to them, and people that have influence in moving the culture. When will they start taking real risks and believe that the community that they're serving are not this monolith group of people that just want to watch, Fred Hammond on Sundays? Like, you know what I mean? So that's what I want to know, because.
But I think it's all in, like I said, this room is a conversation that we need to keep having. Like, it's all in how you support it. Like, I don't mind taking risks. I'm all about taking risks. But it's when I take those risks more of what I think you mean.
I think this is a good way to introduce.
And maybe.
My bad. Once again.
Clubhouse
Tea. Man, you the boss lady.
Okay. Because I'm thinking as I'm going, I was like, maybe that's something that I could look into. Is like
100%.
Like a creative brain trust in that, we meet and talk and, brainstorm things.
Hey, Measy.
Yeah.
I want it. We got Tig in the room too. For somebody who started out in DC, he's seen it in DC. He's seen it in New York, and now Tig is down here in Atlanta. So I would definitely love to hear his point of view on how you feeling.
Clubhouse,
you know what I'm saying? He's seen all waves of the culture. He's always been in the culture. So I would definitely want to hear Tig's take on yeah.
I got hold on. Stephen Hill is in the room. I tried to invite him to the stage. Stephen, bring your ass on up there, good brother.
This is a legendary talk right here. This is a legendary room. It's going down.
I have lots of different feelings and statements on the situation. As far as Atlanta is concerned, I agree that if there's not the entire organization, it should be headquartered here. There should be if you're gonna do music, which BET's not doing. If you're going to do music, then you have to be in Atlanta. If you're not going to do music, you don't have to be here. But if you plan on doing music again, you have to be in Atlanta. That Clubhouse being said, if we all are in agreement in this room that hip-hop drives the entire universe, you still have to be in Atlanta, and BET has zero programming currently based or focused on uplifting, expanding, or revealing the next wave, last wave, past wave, any wave of hip-hop music. It's just not there. I'm not even going to get selfish with this conversation and talk about my show, which the world wants to come back. I'll stay in my lane. But at the same time, I just wonder what the plan is. And having been someone who has been intricately involved with that network and living here in Atlanta, would love Clubhouse to be engaged in such a conversation should it ever come to fruition. But I think that it's been more than one time that I've offered to do more than I'm asked to do, and at many different times my knocks are unanswered.
So I think two things. So I think one great thing that has come out of this conversation is that I will start an Atlanta Brain Trust, and we'll figure out the how and whens and hows with you, Tigger, and Bow. We'll figure out how to get that cranking and started, because I think that's important, and I do believe with music and ideas that would be something that would help us move forward.
Miss Connie?
Yes.
And Measy as well.
And Measy.
Nah, Connie, I'm chilling, Connie. I love you. I thought you was a newscaster when I went down. I was like, that Connie Orlando, she look like that. But I'm just happy to have that conversation. I'm
always open to have this conversation, because these are the conversations that are important. Like, it's not me just being in the office trying to think about what's next. It's me talking to people, and people who are passionate about music, people who know Clubhouse music, and people who watch television. Like, that's the intersection that gets people great shows. So I think having something or someone or some group in Atlanta that we talk about this on a regular basis, the music and how to get it on to make it relevant on TV is important. So I commit to doing that. Can I add something very quickly? And it's just to piggyback off of what Bart said. Hey guys, it's Keisha Shante. So I was just gonna say that I always felt like there was some sort of struggle with connecting what was showing on broadcast, what was showing on BET, having that connect digitally. And I always found at BET they were very selective on what type of black to show. And I say that in the sense of, like Bobby Shmurda is a perfect example, but, people from Love and Hip Hop or people in, influencers online or whatever it may be, very selective on what was shown. And it was always a struggle. Like, we would do things on 106, and even Bow, he'd be in the rooms, the producers' meetings, and he'd be saying, like, we should ask this, we should do this, we should highlight this person. We'd have all these conversations, and it wouldn't always make it on air. And I always found it was a struggle because we would have on the show, like on 106 in Park, we would have people come on the show and they would do things and say things that I thought were viral. I thought that would live online. Clubhouse that people would care about. And when it came time to make that available online, we could never do it. An example, for example, so we had a meeting, it was like Marcy Polanco and the PR team. And I said, how come when our guests come on our show and do things, I don't see it live online? When people do things on Hot 97 or on radio shows, they say something, and it gets on YouTube. And the conversation was always that, BET wanted to control the content. Obviously, when you have sponsors say, Sprite has a commercial, they want the Sprite commercial to air before that content. So it couldn't live anywhere else but on BET. But the kids were all online. And I don't feel like BET has been completely inclusive of all types of black. It's black excellence, which I love, but it's not showcasing everybody. One of the conversations that we had was, Arnold Schwarzenegger came on the show. He hit the nay-nay. I was like, yo, that's viral. People want to see that. Like, we had everybody. You could have anybody from Michelle Obama, Tom Cruise, to a Bobby Shmurda, to the Migos before they were even popping. All these things happening, and you would never see it online. And I had that conversation with PR, and then they got it on TMZ, and it was trending. Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing the nay-nay and whoop-de-whoop. But I always felt like BET just wasn't open to what the kids were doing. And I agree, like having headquarters or even just a bigger pull in Atlanta, just really connecting. There's no place for people to have conversations. Like 21 Savage has an incredible story. A lot of these people have incredible stories. We see it on The Shade Room. We see it on Hollywood Unlocked. We see it on, and I know those are just examples of blogs and whatnot. But we get all our content from The Shade Room, from these Baller Alert, all these places. There's Clubhouse no reason why BET can't be 100% black of everything, and own that place. I know it's a network, but there has to be more dominance online. It's just completely lost, in my opinion. And I want to chime in too. So a pivotal moment in my career was when I realized that we in the media space don't have a lot of representation in, as account executives, the sales and the marketing side. I used to be so frustrated. I spent 4 years at NBC Atlanta, but I used to be so frustrated when my pitches wouldn't go through. And then I started visiting, the advertisement side of the office and really sitting down with the account executives. And I found out like who the typical viewer is. If you work in television, you know Nielsen. And if you work in radio, you know Arbitron rating system. So I'm like, okay, the typical viewer for this channel is a woman between the ages of 25 to 44. She makes, anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000. She lives in this kind of neighborhood. Clubhouse so I was like, so this is who I'm supposed to appeal to. But the people who recognize me in Atlanta are people who ride the bus, just everyday people, because sometimes they get lost out of the equation when we really look at who the typical viewer is. And a day that I went out with the account executive, I was like, let me just go roll with this person because they trying to sell advertisement to Coca-Cola, to these other brands, because I want to see how the content I put on TV gets sold to advertisement. And it really did open up my eyes. Ever since that day, I really started to pay attention to numbers. Like, we can have the most amazing creative ideas about content, and we know what touches the culture because we are the culture. We live that life. We know what it was like, right, on such a broad spectrum. But the day I started incorporating data and numbers into my story pitches, like, that's just part of the game. I knew I didn't want to because I know
Clubhouse
what
Tea.
the people want to see. But when I really started researching from the marketing side and rating side and things like that, like, it really opened my eyes to how to speak their language, to the point where, like, you know, I can honestly tell you Atlanta is the #2 African-American TV market behind New York. However, Atlanta has the second highest share of African-American TV households compared to New York, right? Like, I can literally, like, spit all these facts to you. Like, even though the population of Atlanta is, like, what, 5.79 million, like, the African-American buying power in Georgia is $86 billion, right? And Metro Atlanta has the
Clubhouse Tea.
largest number of African-American women who really respond to advertisement. So I know us. I don't want to spend the rest of my career being in front of the camera. I do want to be a media exec. But I honestly wish there were more of us account executives and really on the executive side, because no matter how much content we create, that's just a small piece of the puzzle.
Right. And again, like, to talk about Atlanta, like, just know we do extensive personal focus groups with people in Atlanta. Nobody is not in Atlanta
Clubhouse Tea.
talking to, you know, the people that live, eat, and breathe Atlanta. Like, we know about that market. We know how important it is. We spend probably the majority of our research and stuff being in Atlanta and talking to people who live in Atlanta. And I don't know, the last young lady talking, I don't know what, I think you were making a statement, not necessarily a question, but I don't want you to think that we don't know the importance or respect what Atlanta is and brings to the table. And that we are heavily invested, although we are not headquartered there, we are heavily invested in the people that live there and, you know, knowing what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And all respect and love to you. My statement was in hopes of, you know, getting more representation on the account executive side, the sales side, because, you know, we can be talents, but we can be executives too. And I love what you're doing. I wish there was more of you in the industry, and I think there should be more of you in the industry. So I was just saying, you know, we need more behind the scenes people so that there's synergy across the board in every department.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and thank you for that.
Jeff, what's up, Jeff?
Hey, what up, boy? What's good?
OG, triple OG, OG. You know we
You
on the
missed it?
club.
Jeff in the building.
Yes, sir.
I see I got a big room, and I see Vince in here. I see everybody in here.
Yeah, hey Jeff, since all these big wigs in here, go ahead and hype me up one time. Boost my stats up.
You good, man. Please, you know you good. You the voice of the people right now, brother.
Nah.
So, Jeff, yo, Jeff,
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
sure
sir.
you probably missed a good amount of the convo, but Bow Wow started the room, and you know, based off the title, how you feel?
That's crazy because Andy's on here too, and you know we're trying to do some business with BET. What is?
Oh yeah, I was just about to say, Jeff. I know you might have a lot to say right now.
Yeah, we here, we listening, but you know, we here.
Nah, it's good. I mean,
Hey, shout out to Jeff and Shaka, but you know they had that the series. I don't know if everybody know, but Jeff, go ahead, pop your shit one time, bro.
that's what I was getting ready to get into. I think what they missing is really dictating the culture the right way. You know, I had a series on there that I had a little, I was a little mad about about the history of the labels, because I felt like what's missing now when you're trying to bridge the gap with the younger and the older people is I always wanted people to know the struggles that we had with building, like, Disturbing the Peace, Grand Hustle, and all that. So I came up with a great idea called Inside the Label, where y'all can see the history of, you know, what we went through, the beginning with our labels and what we did and what went right and what went wrong, because I wanted it to be a blueprint for all the up and coming younger people that want to get a label, because you only see the good things, but you don't understand what goes on when you're trying to get a label and you have 6 and 7 artists and what went wrong.
or what we feel went wrong. And so BT, I brought it over to BT, but it got kind of lost in translation to me. To me, it was very important, but they didn't really market and promote it right. So what is BT missing? I think they just got to take a stronger platform of marketing their stuff better than what MTV and all these other